and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, Carol. Seeing some people coming on. Stella, is it? Stella? Hold on here. Let me now go to Zoom. Okay, guys, we're going to get started here just momentarily, just getting everything set up here. It is the 28th. Oh, let me mute everybody. Okay, everyone. John Haremza here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, Alexandria and Blair. I see you are streaming on Facebook as well. Super excited about our fireside chat here today. We are going to discuss the biggest mistakes people make in this industry of network marketing. And this is really going to be a fun topic. Hopefully, as always, I want great engagement. I'd love to have you guys participate, you guys on Zoom anyway. I don't think we can do that on Facebook, but you guys can listen in. I am streaming on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And guys, just I want to mention this too, especially if you're just coming in on Facebook or you're on Zoom and you have not had a chance to visit my YouTube channel. Literally there are hundreds of videos there now, training videos, all of these fireside chats that have been recorded, a lot of, short little 90-second videos, tips and tricks on this industry of network marketing, some great personal development stuff on there. So if you haven't gone to my, Facebook channel yet, and liked it, followed me, subscribe to that Facebook channel, and share it too. Share it so others can benefit and see what's happening here. But excited to be with you here this morning, the 28th day of January, just a few days left in this very first month of the year. One of the things we talked about as a general theme, through the month of January is, talking a little bit about our goals, our why, our commitment to that, and really staying focused on that, because so many people want to make this year 2022 their best year ever, and life happens, and all kinds of things cake us and nudge us off track, or distract us off track. Other people, many times with the best of intentions, discourage us or knock us off track. And so just kind of reground yourself, go back and think about what your why is, what you really, really want out of this new year. We're 28 days into it, about to complete the very first month. It is not too late. It is not too late to renew, revisit, recharge, and get yourself fired up to absolutely have your best year ever. So that just as a little bit of a starting point here to do that. Last week we talked, we were discussing, Dean Graziosi, a book that I've been listening to as I've been out hiking. One of my, major initiatives in this new year is working on my, working on my health. My fitness, getting myself feeling better from a health standpoint, in better shape, losing weight, things of that nature, along with other things that I'm working on, really trying to hone in on what my purpose and my why is, and want each of you to do that as well. So just want to remind everybody on that, just to, if you have let it slip, you can just jump right back into it. You can jump back into it after this call, review it, renew it, recharge it, and get yourself back on track. So with that being said, we're going to talk about today. And again, I want some really great discussion on this. But what we're going to talk about is, some of the biggest mistakes people make in this industry of network marketing. Okay. So first off, I want to say one of the biggest mistakes I think people make, let me double check to make sure I'm on speaker view. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes I think people make in this industry is they simply talk too much. Okay. And they talk too much literally at every stage of the game, from a standpoint of when you do a three-way phone call with somebody. We know that the three-way phone call is such of an important part of our business. That third-party documentation, that third-party validation, bringing in that third party to answer questions and overcome objections and build rapport. And so you might be that person doing that three-way, that upline. You're the upline coming in doing that three-way phone call. And the mistake you make is you don't get to know the prospect. You don't get to understand the prospect. That old saying that Stephen Covey says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Okay. So you get on a three-way and you don't ask about the person. You don't find out where they are in life and get a feel and build a little bit of rapport. You just start talking and talking and talking and talking instead of really finding out who they are, what they're really looking for out of life, getting to know them, right? Embracing that concept that Stephen Covey has of seek first to understand, then to be understood. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is they simply talk too much, and they talk too much when they're prospecting people. I mean, when you prospect people, somebody expresses a little bit of interest and you just unload, right? You give them a drink with a fire hose. I always say, leave people wanting more, right? Your job is to stimulate an interest, not satisfy an interest. The tools, the videos, the websites, the products, all of those things are designed, to build belief and satisfy interest. Your job is to stimulate an interest. And so again, making yourself disciplined to, when you're prospecting, you're making that introduction, and your goal is simply to pique an interest, get someone to want to know more. And I always say, leave people wanting more, right? And so the mistake, again, talking too much, just they express a little bit of an interest, and it's just like you unload on them, right? And again, I'm going to reiterate this, and I talk about it constantly. Everything you do, right, sets an example of what others think they have to do. So in this same realm of talking too much is, you have that person that expresses interest, and you dump on them, you tell them everything you know. And number one, you're going to overwhelm them. Number two, even if you impress them, okay, with your knowledge, because you're good, they're going to wake up the next morning and say, I can't do that, right? But if you take and discipline yourself in what you say and how much you say, and getting to know and building that rapport, stimulating that interest, and then using the tools through, the apps and through the websites and through all the tools to satisfy that interest. Okay. So, this talking too much is a major, major problem that I witness and see all the time. People talking too much. Another thing, when you're, positioning a tool, if your job is not to tell them, again, just keep in mind, all you're trying to do is get them to say, I want to know more. I'm interested. Because if you send someone a tool, right? You send somebody a video, you send somebody a link, you send somebody a website without stimulating that interest, getting them excited to want to receive that, review that, you send it to them without getting that excitement, that anticipation, that feeling of, yeah, I can't wait to, see what you're going to send me. If you just send it out thinking they're going to open it, they're going to look at it without you setting it up, the tool is not going to work, right? I mean, tools only work when people review them. So setting that tool up, and again, there's a fine line here. Because if you talk too much, now they think they know what it's about and they don't need to review the tool. So this concept of you need to stimulate an interest to get them to want to look, to listen, to review, but you don't want to say too much where they think they know what it's all about and they don't need to review. Okay. So for some people, this takes some real discipline to, put it on a Post-it note, set it on, post it on your phone. Don't talk too much. right? People have very short attention spans, and again, when you're being that third party documentation, you don't want to do all the talking. That's not what your job is. Your job is to build their belief, but the way you build your belief is by asking questions, finding out as much about them as possible instead of sharing everything you know. Find out about them, find out who they are, find out where they are, find out what's holding them back. And one of the ways that I do to find out what's holding people back is, I ask them, then I share my story. I try to overcome the objections I learned in learning about them. And then I'll ask them straight out. I use the scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being ready to get started, where are you? And then you have to discipline yourself once again to not just keep talking, but to let them answer. And then if you need more clarification on their answer, you can ask a follow-up question. But the goal is finding out what's holding them back, where they are. I'm an 8. Okay, well then what can I do? How can I help? What do you need to see to get you to a 10? And then you once again discipline yourself to not let that silence make you talk, make it to the uncomfortableness of that silence. It really is only moments. Just let it be. The person is thinking, and just wait. And they're going to come up with something, right, of what's holding them back. And now you know what it is and you can address it. Folks, there's so many things about what it is we do and how we do it that makes such a major difference, in the result you experience. I mean, I talk about this in my book, right? The book, Right or Almost Right. The difference between doing something right and doing something almost right. Right? We know prospecting is important. We know building belief is important. But if you're overwhelming somebody, if you're talking too much, you're breaking the process down to then all of a sudden you're like, I'm doing it, but I'm not getting anywhere. Well, you need to pay attention because there's little things that you're doing that is, somebody says, well, I've talked to 50 people and no one's interested. You need to look in the mirror. You need to look in the mirror. You need to evaluate. You need to go back with the person who brought you in or find someone in your upline to troubleshoot what it is you're saying, what it is you're doing, what it is you're not doing, right? Because if you're talking to that many people and not getting anywhere, you're not doing it right. You might think you're doing it right, but you're probably doing it almost right. So these little things make a big difference in the result that you experience. And one of them is, and I think it's one of the most common mistakes people make, is they simply talk too much, right? And so really be conscious of it. Be conscious of it. One of the other things, guys, that I do all the time is, I call it this personal checkup. I'm constantly asking myself, evaluating, how did I do? What did I do good? What did I do wrong? If I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, what could I have done different? Right? How am I doing? How just being honest with yourself. How am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing in, asking questions? How am I doing in listening? Am I giving too much information? Right? Am I really doing, what John is talking about by stimulating interest, or am I going beyond that to where now I've given them enough information where they think they know what it's about and they don't review the tool, or they're saying, I could never do that, right? So, always keeping that in mind, everything you do, right? So that's the example what others think they have to do. These are all little things that can make a major difference. So the next thing I want to talk about as a biggest mistake people make, and I'm gonna go deep into this so you don't get confused of what I'm trying to say. And that is, most people, one of the biggest mistakes they make is they spend their time with the wrong person. Okay, this is a big one. You want it for everyone, or you want it to work with that person so bad that you are trying to force it. Okay, you can't make somebody do this business, right? You can't make somebody who's not willing to do this business, even if they're telling you they want to do this business. If they're not doing it, and don't misunderstand me that you don't abandon them, you don't forget about them, you just don't spend major time with them, because you never know when something's going to change, when that person, something clicks, something happens to where all of a sudden they become the right person. Maybe it's their job or something, some circumstances in their life, or maybe one day they just get it, or, but so you want to keep them in. You want to keep everyone in, but you can't make someone do the business that's not ready. You can't, and so the mistake, okay, here's where the mistake comes in, is you're spending major time with that person instead of going out and finding the right person. And so you can end up wanting it for someone so bad, you can be trying to make somebody do it, make somebody get it, when they're maybe saying it, but they're not actually doing it. They're wasting your time. Again, don't misunderstood. We don't forget about them. It's just we got to manage our time with them. We still want to drip on them. We still want to keep them involved and engaged, but we don't want to waste a lot of time. We want to wait for that moment where the time is right for them. And it's very clear when they're ready. It's not a matter of, do I think they're ready or not? It will be a very clear picture for you. Okay. So, because you can waste 6 months, a year working with the wrong people, getting nowhere but frustration for you and for them, right? Where keep them involved and go find the people that are ready. And here's an analogy I'll paint in this area from a standpoint of how do you know? How do you know when you have that right person? Okay, so I'm going to relate it to fishing. You're out, if you can imagine this from an analogy standpoint, you get a bite, your rod, the tip, jiggles a little bit. Oh, I'm getting a bite. It's like an interested prospect. Somebody's saying, hey, I might be interested in this. You get a little bit of a bite. And so you jerk back and you set the hook. And now you got somebody that says, hey, I want this. I want to do this. And so you start, reeling it in, and there may be a little bit of tug, and you start reeling it in. And so you ask yourself, I wonder if this is a big fish or not. I wonder if this is somebody that really wants to do this, or if this is somebody that just wants to use products or just wants to play with this. I'm going to want to try to land the fish either way, whether it's a big fish or whether it's a little fish. I want the fish. Okay. So I'm reeling this in. And so the question is, how do you know if it's a big fish? Somebody that you really is worth you throwing yourself in. Because if it is a big fish, you know it. Okay. If you're reeling it in and you feel a little tug, and is this a big fish or not? It isn't. Okay. How do you know? Because all of a sudden the rod is pinned to the rail. The rod is bent over and it's taken out line. Okay. You don't have to wonder, hey, I wonder if this is a big fish. A little fish isn't going to do that. Somebody wanting to play with the business, somebody that's not ready to do the business, somebody that is just telling you they want to do the business, and they may tug once in a while, but they don't actually take the line out. The people that are worthy of your time is very, very clear. Why? Because they're a big fish and they're taking out line. Now let's relate that. How do we know in our business? Because they're calling you. You're not calling them. If you got to call them, hey, are you going to be on the Zoom? Are you going to be on the Fireside chat? Are you going to be at the event? If you got to call them to see if they're coming, they're probably not a big fish, right? If you just know they're going to come, they're a big fish because they're committed. They're you don't have to question, are you prospecting? If you, that's where, people say, how do you know when you have somebody that's you can really go build a business with? It's very obvious. If you have to ask yourself, I wonder if this person is the right person, then it's not yet. If they're the right person, there's clues all over the place. They're calling you. They're constantly putting you on the phone. They're almost bugging you to the point of making you a bit overwhelmed because they're so hungry and they're doing the correct actions, right? So again, one of the biggest mistakes, probably bar none, that people make in our business is they spend major time with the wrong people. Because they want it for them so bad, or they buy into that person's, what they say they want, what they say they're going to do, but they don't actually do it. Right. So pay attention to what they're really doing, not what they say. That old saying is, when it's all said and done, there's a lot more said than done. Right. Talk is cheap. Okay. Actions speak louder than words. What are they actually doing? Right. And you can have somebody doing a lot of action, still not having results. Then you have to go back in and help them fine tune what they're doing, because they think they're doing it right. And they're kind of the bull in the china shop, so to speak. They're crazy busy all over the place, but all they're doing is breaking all the china around them. You want them working, but you want them working effective. So you got to pay attention to those little clues too. So, and helping coach them, in the right way. Okay, so another biggest mistake that we make is we prejudge. We take and prejudge who we think or who can do the business or who can't do the business. This person, they're too busy. This person makes too much money. This person is shy and introverted. I can never see him doing this business. So we prejudge people. And we can miss our very best people. I mean, sometimes I tell people, again, never forget what we get paid for, right? We get paid to talk to people that are not yet using our products, not yet involved in our business. Number one activity is we can talk to people. It's the only thing going to grow our business, right? Then we got to talk to the right people and identify when they're the right people to spend time with. But at the end of the day, we have to prospect, and so we tend to prejudge people. And I tell people, make that list long and strong. Don't prejudge, right? We don't have the magic wand to wave over the top of somebody and say who will or who won't be interested in the business, right? If that were the case, I would have definitely been prejudged. Okay, why would you want to talk to John? He's a blue collar worker. He's got dyslexia. He's so shy and inverted. He's literally invisible. He won't even talk to people or say hi to them unless they said hi to them first. I'm not on the top of someone's prospect list, but guess what? Somebody cared enough about me to open the door to pique that interest. And all of a sudden I get turned on. And I become the right person, but it was my actions. So you don't know. There are clues of who may be the right person or who you think would do the business. And when it comes down to it, you're probably wrong. I mean, if you make a list of, okay, here's my master list, not prejudge anybody and everybody. Now I'm going to separate and categorize this list to my hot list. These are the people I know are going to love what I'm doing here. They're going to totally get excited about it. Then there's this list of, oh man, this list of people here. These people absolutely need this business, right? They need this. They need the products. They need this business. Then you got that third list. Here's that list of people I don't think will have any interest. When you go through the whole list, and I would be curious, and I would be not surprised if, when you go through those three lists, the list that you prejudged, that you thought these are the ones that'll never do the business, will be the people where your best people come from. So, really, again, this takes discipline not to prejudge who will or who won't do the business. Get it out to everybody and let everybody, have that opportunity to say yes, say yes or say no. And that's why I say, give everybody an opportunity to say yes or say no. Let them make the decision. Don't make the decision for them. So anyway, guys, I've been rambling on here for 23 minutes. Let's take and open this up for some open discussion on maybe clarification on these three major issues that I talked about as three major mistakes, right? Talking too much. And I talked about some various areas of when we do that. Biggest mistake, spending time with the wrong people. You can waste 6 months, a year, getting nowhere and just frustrating you and them by working with the wrong people. And again, not to forget that everybody matters. You never know when they'll become the right person. But there's clues that you have to pay attention to. And then the other thing, as I just mentioned, is prejudging. Now, there's a lot of things that we could talk about as biggest mistakes. And if anybody wants to bring some of those up for discussion, we're happy to go, deeper into that. But if there's something that you want to bring up as you feel is a big mistake people make, a mistake that you've made, and you want to bring it up as a discussion point here, do that. But let me go ahead and now be quiet for a moment, and let's hear what you guys have to say.
Hello, John.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? It's
I
Larry
can. Go ahead.
Great. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence, whether it's video or real, okay? Or phone. But here's my question to you, and put in conjunction the talking too much and the three-way call. You, as a person that has been given three-way calls or have been involved with three-way calls as long as you have, my question is, how much exposure would you like the person to have had that you're going to be talking to? You follow me?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's my question.
Okay, that's a great question. And so ideally, okay, you're going to want your prospect, if you're going to put me on a three-way phone call, they have, you've talked to them, you've stimulated an interest, you've sent them a video, they've maybe reviewed a website, maybe even been on a Zoom. Okay, so there's some level of exposure. You've made an introduction. Okay, and so I'm going to go into this a little bit deep, Larry. Okay, because this is such an important point. So, one of the things I hear people say all the time is, I can't get anybody to do a three-way phone call. Okay. And so one of the major reasons that occurs is because you ask permission, right? Okay, Larry, let's just say I'm prospecting you and I want you to talk to my upline. So I'd say, Larry, listen, I really want to arrange a call for you to meet and talk with the person that brought me into the business. Okay. And, you don't even know if you're really interested in this. And in your mind, whether you're saying it or not, immediately you think this guy is going to come in and strong arm me. And you're kind of thinking, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I just as soon just talk with you. Okay. So one of the reasons three-way calls don't happen is because you are asking permission. Okay. And I know there's two schools of thoughts on this. Okay. My school of thought is I don't ask permission. Okay. You're my prospect.
Agree.
And I'm going to call my upline. So let's in this case say it's Dave. So I call Dave and I say, Dave, I got this gentleman. I'll tell him a little bit about who they are. His name is Larry. Had a little conversation with him. He was on Tuesday nights, our Thursday nights call. Or he was on a, Saturday morning's webinar, or I sent him, the opportunity video from the app. And I'm telling you just a little bit, I'm, telling Dave in this case, what you've seen. Okay. And I'm supposed to follow up with him tonight. Would you be free to jump on the call and meet him? Yeah. What time? 8 o'clock. Okay, so now I'm going to call Dave back. I'm going to refresh his memory, and then I'm going to call Larry. And I'm going to call you up, Larry. I'm going to say, hey, Larry, John, just checking in with you. I told you I was going to call you tonight. I hope you don't mind. But I was talking to the person who brought me into the business and telling him a little bit about you. And anyway, I've got him on the other line. He wanted to meet you. He's been doing this a lot longer than me, and I thought you might have some questions. Boom, Dave, are you there? Okay, we have now done a three-way phone call. Think about this, okay? We know the three-way phone call is magical. Now, if Dave's going to do the three-way correct, he's going to come on and say, hey, Larry, John's told me a little bit about you. Great to have a chance to say hi. And if you wouldn't mind, Larry, would you mind sharing a little bit of your background or history? Have you ever been involved in anything like this before? What is your background? And then, Dave listens and we get to know you. You kind of reveal where you are in life, right? And then he would say, hey, Larry, I appreciate that. If you don't mind, I'd like to share with you a little bit of my background and my experiences here. And then he tells his story. And then overcomes, if he listened properly, maybe overcome some of the obstacles. Because in your going through this, you might, the other thing that might happen is when I call you and you say, oh, John, I'm sorry, I got busy, I haven't looked at anything. Okay. I'm going to say, that's okay, Larry. Listen, I was telling a good friend of mine, somebody I'm working with, a little bit about you. His name is Dave, and I've got him on the other line. I hope you don't mind. I'd love for him to say hi to you and meet you. And without you really even answering, I'm going to say, Dave, are you there? Hey, Larry, how you doing? Dave here, working real closely with John. He's told me a little bit about you. And hey, listen, I understand you haven't had a chance to look at anything yet, but I'd love to know a little bit more about you. And then I'm going to tell my story. He's going to tell his story. And now what's happening is we're going to get you excited enough to actually now want to review that video or get on that conference call, right? So we know as an upline, when we do, and one of the ways, Larry, let's say you and I are working together, you're brand new, you're going to do some calls with me. You're going to do some three-way calls with me. Okay. You might have 5 people that you've prospected, and we're going to call them tonight. Okay. Let's start at 7 o'clock. I told these guys I was going to get back with them, towards the end of the week. It's Friday now. Let's call them tonight. And I say, okay, Larry, who's the first person? Well, I've got Mike. Tell me a little bit about Mike. Now, I don't want to hear about all 5. All I want to hear about is Mike. Okay, who he is. Great. Let's try to get him on the call. Exact same formula. You give Mike a call and there's no answer. Okay, it's fine. So who's next? Who's next is Linda. I got Linda. Let's try here. Here's a little bit about her. We try Linda. Linda, picks up. You're going to say, hey, Linda, Larry, just wanted to catch up. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time, and wanted to see if you had an interest in, or had a chance to look at that stuff I sent you over. And I hope you don't mind, but I was telling the person I'm working with in this a little bit about you. And anyway, he wanted to meet you and say hi to you because, thought you might have some questions. I got him on the other line. His name is John. Boom. I take the call over with Linda. Right now, here's somewhere the magic, third-party documentation. Right? All of that information as we're doing this, that I'm sharing with Linda, my story, I'm building rapport with her. I'm learning about her. I'm overcoming objections. I'm answering questions. It's all going through your ears into Linda's ears.
Correct.
So you learn. And now when Linda, let's say we get Linda into business, she saw how that whole thing happened. Again, everything you do sets an example to others think they have to do. Now, to duplicate that process, when Linda starts prospecting, she's going to be calling Loretta and say, hey, I've got, I don't know if you had a chance to look. I told you I was going to call you tonight. I got Larry on the other line. He's been in the business a little bit longer. I thought he might have some questions. So now we've set the process of duplication up. You see what I'm saying? Right? So this 3-way phone call, I'm telling you, if we had to keep one tool, that would be my tool. If I could only choose one tool, the 3-way phone call would be my tool that I would choose. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah. So I know it's a long answer, but it's such an important question. So, what is one of the, I'm going to go ahead and jump into another one of the biggest mistakes people make. And that is they don't do 3-way phone calls. Right. And they break the duplication down. They're not, we are here as upline to help. Right. Every time you do that 3-way phone call, that information's passing through your ears into your prospects' ears. You learn, we build belief. We are setting up and duplicating the process. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't use 3-way phone calls, or for that matter, they don't use the tools. It kind of tails back into that first biggest mistake, which is they talk too much. They try to make it happen based off of their unique skill or ability, or just try to talk them into it, or unload on them with all their info.
As a follow-on question, what is the goal in your mind of the person that's doing the 3-way call? Are they attempting to just get to know the person and see if they're interested, or are they attempting to close that person on that call?
All of the above. Okay.
All of the above. Okay.
All of the above. You're there to show the prospect that there's support. There's somebody else there. You're there to, show you as the new distributor, the duplication. And again, as that information goes through your ears into theirs, you're learning how to answer questions, how to ask questions, how to build rapport. So I'm teaching, training, building your belief, and I'm setting up duplication for that new person. And depending on if you haven't seen anything, I'm doing that 3-way call and you say, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to review it. I'm going to be teaching then how to get that person to commit. Okay, I'm excited. I want to look at that. Right. So we're probably not going to close them at that time. If they have reviewed it, I'm answering questions, overcoming objections, heard their story. At the end of it, that's where I go into, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being ready to do this. Where are you? Well, I'm a 7.
Excellent. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's great. What do you need to see? What does Larry need to get to you? What can I do? What do you need to see? What needs to happen to move you to a 10? Well, I need, I need about a month. I got a big family reunion coming up, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
It's finances. I'm going on vacation next week. This is happening, that is happening, or maybe it is. To be honest with you, I got to try the products. That's my next. Okay, great. Or I need to understand the compensation plan. I don't believe in network marketing. I can't sell. I just can't see myself doing this. Okay. I don't know anybody. I don't have the money. Find out what it is that's holding them back, or what things are holding them back. So now we can focus in on overcoming that objection. You're not going to get somebody to say yes until they believe they can. Right. And if they have questions about something, that's going to hold them back from making a decision. So we want to find out what it is that's holding them back, so that way we can address that and move them to the next level. So my job as that person coming in, I'm providing third-party documentation, I'm training, I'm overcoming objections, I'm answering questions, I'm showing you how to take them to the next step, which is the finding out what's holding them back, or if they're ready to make a decision. When they say I'm ready to make a decision, I'm not going to keep talking. I'm going to go to the process of getting them started. Great.
Absolutely.
So again, all these things are, I don't want to overwhelm anybody. They're simple, but they're important.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Sounds good. Anybody else want to jump in with a concern, or what they think might be a mistake they're making, or comment on what we've already discussed?
Hi, John. This fireside chat was for me today. I feel like, mistakes are what I make all the time, but, I don't really like to use the word mistake. I like to use the word experience. So first off, my biggest accomplishment is involvement. That's the biggest thing that I can do for myself right now, is just being involved. My consistency has been with you every Monday and Friday. That's my way of duplication, by showing people that this is how I involve myself in the business, by being here every Monday and Friday. You can do the same thing. I offer opportunity on Monday, and I offer, communication on Friday for the business side of it. So that's my way of duplication. Now, when it comes to too much talking, I'm going to try to stay on topic with this one, because I am the queen of talking. Okay, so that comes with me being by myself and alone all the time. So when I finally find somebody that's talking to me, I talk, and I can't stop because I enjoy it. It's just who I am. So I have to put myself out of it to have these conversations, and do the less is more, because it's super, super important when it comes to somebody that's like me. I just can't help myself. I just talk, so that's my thing. So spending the time with the wrong people. I enjoy talking to people. So when I do find somebody that talks to me about Valentis, it allows me to talk about Valentis and our products, and it allows me to hear myself talk about it, and it allows myself to correct myself. So talking too much can be helpful, but make sure you're not doing it to the wrong people, because you can lose those people that could join you in the future. Now, I've been talking with some people that has allowed me to open up to them, and they are interested in the business. They're interested in the product. I've gained some customers through these talking too much, but sometimes talking too much is kind of needed for a personal self-growth in the business. So I don't want to say that talking too much is wrong, because it has really helped me figure out my words and how to do it less. So along with the spending the time with the wrong people, I want it so bad for these people that I've been spending my time with. I want it so badly for them, but I have to understand that what I want, I already have, and what they want, they will have when they want it. I can't push it on them, and I can push all I want, but if they don't see the potential that I see, I can't force that potential on them. It's there, and I just can't over-explain myself enough to get them to understand, to get them to join me. So I continue just having these fun conversations about what I'm doing, and that's fun. I love it, but now it's time to get to work, because if you're not going to join me, then I need to start working over here and working on these people over here. Now I've appreciated it, and I've thanked these people for allowing me to open up to them and allow me to have these conversations with them to understand how to do my business a little bit better. So I need those people in my life. So I appreciate them. Prejudging is something that I try to put a wall up, because I don't prejudge anybody. I'm kind to everybody. I love everybody. So that can fall into a category of getting people that you don't really want in your business. So you have to also go through that side of the business of not really judging, but taking a better look at who you're talking to and how they're talking to you. Because if they're talking to you in a way that you don't want to be talked to, then they probably don't want to be talked to the way that you want to talk to them. So it's just best not to waste your time and move on to another person. So again, my biggest accomplishment is involvement, and that's what I show. So that's duplicatable, is involvement, because that's the only way that you're going to succeed in anything that you do. And talking too much is my thing, but I have learned to lessen it a little bit more. I am all over the place, but that's me. And anybody that comes and works for me is going to know that, and they're going to know that I'm going to figure it out no matter what it takes. So thanks, guys.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Robin. And so a couple things, I wrote several notes down as you're talking. And one is, we want to also be creating a sense of urgency and a fear of loss. Okay, so talking too much kind of takes away from that sense of urgency and that fear of loss, because people are busy. Okay, and you want to be busy. And so I always say, I leave people wanting more. I cut it off. And so, so setting, okay, I'm going to talk to this person, and I'm going to allow myself 7 minutes. Okay. And at 7 minutes, the little alarm goes off, and you're going to say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I got to go. I got something else going on. So create that type of stuff, creates a sense of urgency and a fear of loss. So if you have all the time in the world and you just keep talking and talking and talking, again, people can't retain it, number one. And now it's different if you're friends and you're just, catching up and talking about that. But you want to show enthusiasm, you want to show excitement, but you want to create a sense of urgency and a fear of loss. I got a lot going on, versus I got all the time in the world. Okay. The other thing from a standpoint of you wanting to talk too much. So one of the things is go ahead and keep talking, but spread it out over a lot of different people. Say less to more people. Rather than talking a lot to one, talk a little bit to a lot, and you still get to do a lot of talking. Right. So say less to more people. And then this whole thing of, you said about involvement, right? And that kind of speaks to another major word, which is consistency of, and what you also said about learning. I mean, what's one of those sayings, you're either winning or you're learning, right? I mean, even you never lose, you just learn, right? You either win or you learn. Right. And so you're obviously very, very committed to that. And another big mistake people make is they're not focused enough. They're involved or in trying to do too many things at once. But just some things I wrote down: sense of urgency, say less to more people. And, obviously your involvement, and you're so hungry to want to learn and get this thing figured out. So anyway, thank you for all that. Anyone else want to jump in here? We got a couple more minutes.
John?
Yes.
This is Mark. How you doing there?
Good, Mark. How are you?
John, you know I'm chomping at the bit on this one. I'm chomping at the bit. I've already got 2 hours of this. This was some good stuff. I want to just touch on a couple of things that might help some people. And John, you just let me know if you agree with it. First of all, the three-way call. I heard Larry asking about the three-way call. And you brought up a good point. You don't try to do all of it on one call. There's actually 2 to 3 different types of three-way calls. I won't get into that, what they are, but there's like 2 to 3 different types of three-way calls, and pretty much all of them should be used in the process. But yeah, that's definitely. But what I wanted to share was, I know we talked about, and John, you know I'm passionate about this. You remember our conversation when I came to Vegas, spending too much time with the wrong people. And you know, I know you said it should jump out at them who they should spend time with, but I've spent decades with that biting me in my butt, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, you think you got them, then you don't got them. And so, you know, I actually, you know, you guys know I actually wrote a book on that one subject, that one topic about the 3 deadly sins of network marketing. And you know, you got to know who you spend your time with, and you got to have certain things you need to identify. Okay, is this the person? So what I did was I actually got 3 things that if they don't do all 3 things, they're not the person. No, not 2 of the 3, all 3 things. And that has saved me a lot of time. It could be grandma, it could be your third cousin, it could be your husband. If they don't do all 3, stop wasting your blooming time with them. And I'm not going to be cold-blooded about it, but I'm telling you, I got less runway in front of me than I do behind me. Okay. So I don't have time to waste. So, and the other thing I wanted to share with you guys was, you know, you're talking about how much time do you spend and so forth. You know, we all heard about the 80-20 rule. I've changed it to the 90-10 rule because with technology and everything, I think the 80-20 rule should now be the 90-10 rule, right? And so where's this time need to go? John, I'm sure you can agree that you got, first of all, you got 2 types of time. You got group time, and then you got your personal leaders time, okay? So who gets the group time? All those other folks that are talking, but they're not necessarily doing those 3 green flags that I talk about, okay? So you still love on them. You don't kick them to the side. You still love on them, and you just invite them to come to the group stuff. See if they're, and that's one of the 3 green flags is, do they show up? So you just say, hey, show up to the event, show up to the Zoom, show up to the conference call, show up. And if they're not showing up, why in the world are you putting your energy into them? Because that's one of the 3 green flags. So 90% of your time should be with those ones that are doing those 3 things, the ones that are bringing it to the table, right? They are showing up. They are calling you without you calling them, right? I call that incoming calls only, right? If they're not bringing incoming calls in, why you keep shooting calls out? So anyway, John, you know, I was chomping at the bit on this one. I was like, okay, calm down. So anyway, John, thanks, man. I appreciate this one.
Yeah, no. Hey, Mark, thank you for that. And I agree with everything that you just said. And you know, like you said, that's coming to that, you know, spending time with the right people, but we don't want to forget about anybody. That's that group time you just referenced, right? You spend that 10% of the time with those 90%ers, those people that say they want to do it, but they don't actually do it. Right? Say, you know, I'm going to do it, but they never actually do it. I'm interested, and you know, they'd be great. So you know, so you don't spend major time with them. You spend that group time with them. Doesn't mean you don't, you know, you, like you said, how do you know? They're calling you, right? Doesn't mean you still don't call those other ones because you want to keep them in. So you don't forget about anybody because something can change in their life. They can have an epiphany or something can happen. All of a sudden they become the right person. So when you really got to understand this, guys, when we're saying spend time with the right people, that's where you spend the major time with the right people, the people that are doing, like you have that 3 criteria. But you don't forget about everybody else. You spend a little bit of time sending them a text. Hey, are you going to be at the meeting tonight? Wanted to let you know about the call tonight. Okay. Just, you know, giving them a quick call. Hey, I had a moment here. I wanted to say hi to you and see how you're doing. Well, we got things rocking over here. We got a meeting on Thursday night. You should see if you can come out, right? So you still touch on them, but you don't sit and spend major time. That if that makes sense. So we don't forget about anybody because you never know when it's going to change, but where you're driving and spending your time is, and if you is with those people that are leaving those clues, those very definite clues that they're doing it. Okay, guys, listen, we're right at almost 50 minutes here. So this has been a fun fireside chat where, we went live on Facebook here as well and YouTube. And so we'll talk to you all again soon. Hope you enjoyed it as I did, and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye now.